Bullying started for me in school when I was just 6 years old, and I was in the first grade. Due to the fact that I was this short little kid who wore glasses, that used me as a target. They would come up with nicknames for me. Those students, they would call me like Nerd, Four Eyes, stuff like that. When it came to bullying, it was mainly just a few people in my class. It wasn't everybody. There was just these certain kids in my class who'd pick on me. Another reason they picked on me is because I was small. These three guys used to pick on me every day, calling me a chihuahua. First grade was not a good year for me. I mean, I didn't get along with my classmates. I didn't fit in. And there was times I would just try to talk to them and get to know them, and they would say stuff. They literally told me, "Shut up, I hate you. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares about you." And that really did hurt my feelings. But even though I didn't fit in, I still had a few friends in the class for me. I had people in there who would, have my back for me. They'd defend me when other students were mean to me. Second semester of first grade, I got better because I ended up being put in another class, and more of my friends were in there, and I got along better with those students. One of the main reasons I was picked on is because I was different. That's one of the main reasons, not just because I wore glasses or because I was short. When I started second grade, even though things were better somewhat, the bullying seemed to increase. Because I was gullible, the students often tricked me into getting in trouble. Like if the teacher was getting on to the class, they'd make a funny face, so I'd laugh and get in trouble. They would have each other's backs, and they'd all lie on me to get me in trouble, or they'd draw on my paper when I wasn't looking, so the teacher would think I would do it. They'd draw an inappropriate drawing. Or they would treat me into saying something vulgar to get me in trouble. And I got in trouble a lot. I had some friends in the class who were nice to me, but other students did treat me into getting in trouble. I mean, I got sent to the office at least 6 or 7 times that year. And there's times my parents would get on to me because they would treat me into getting in trouble at home too, because the school would call my parents. Something I knew about myself, though, even though I was just 7, is I was born different. There's times my parents would get on to me and they'd ask, "Why'd you get in trouble at school again?" And I would just say, "This is who I am. I was born this way." But they just thought I used that as an excuse. Towards the end of second grade, my family decided to take me to a psychiatrist, and they diagnosed me with Asperger's, which is a high function of autism. I didn't really know what it was at first because I was still young and didn't understand. As my family told me more about it, I was upset because I thought it meant that I was mentally slow. But it turns out that it was something a lot different, and I started discovering on my own, that I really am smart. When I started third grade, it was the same stuff. People picked on me, tricking me to get in trouble, made fun of me for my glasses. They also made fun of me for being short. I was always one of the shortest or the shortest in my class. That's another reason they picked on me. But I still was a brilliant kid, made good grades. When I started fourth grade, I started to get tubby, and people would make fun of my weight. They would hurt my feelings. They really did hurt my feelings. They called me fat, fatty, stuff like that, fat boy. But something that was better for me is that teachers started explaining to the class my condition, and they started being a lot nicer to me because they thought I was special. But at the same time, sometimes they got on my nerves because they babied me around too much, and they made me feel odd. I started fifth grade when I was 10, and same stuff, my glasses, being short, being tubby. Eventually, I quit wearing my glasses to school because I got tired of people making fun of my glasses. People started to get paranoid. The teachers did too because they didn't know if I could see without my glasses or not, which I could see just fine. I just needed them to read. And students, even though they did pick on me, they did defend me. They were nice to me because they thought I was special. And something I did, because I used to think at this time that being different was a bad thing, and I started lying about myself, trying to be like the other kids, thinking it was cool, but it turns out I was being someone I wasn't. And it's always good to be yourself. And eventually, fifth grade came to an end, and I went on to graduate elementary school. When I started junior high, it really was a tough time for me. It usually is for all kids, because they're not used to big changes. I did not like changing class and having to keep up with my materials, dressing in and out for gym class. And people did pick on me here and there, but it's not really the people on my roster I was worried about. It was the 8th graders. Usually every year at a new school, the oldest kids manage to do that because they think they're big and bad, and they like to pick on the kids younger than them. They would push us around in the hallway, throw stuff at us, try to scare us. Like they'd be like, "Move, little kid," and push us, things like that. And towards the end of 6th grade, right after I turned 12, I was at the point where I was not only going to do something that got me expelled from school, but got me arrested. I was just at the point where I wanted to bring a deadly weapon to school, like a knife or an axe or something, and just point it at somebody, be like, "Hey, if you don't leave me alone, you won't live past this day." And I was so afraid that I would do that. I often discussed with my grandmother over the summer, who can't be, because my parents were. I would often discuss with her about homeschooling me, and she even agreed to. But it didn't work out. It would have been hard on her because she was getting old, and my parents wanted me to attend public school. It wouldn't have worked out. And eventually, I started 7th grade, and things got a lot better for me. There still were kids here and there who picked on me for being short or made fun of my weight, things like that. kids did manage to pick on me, but something I did like about 7th grade, it wasn't the same kids in every class, and that's good because if there's someone you're not getting along with, you don't have to put up with them every hour of every day. Something else that was also a good benefit for me is my parents started working out at a gym, and they taught martial arts there, and I started taking kickboxing training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's also where I learned how to fight. And there's times when kids, they would say they were going to beat me up, and I'd put my fist up showing them I could fight, and that really was a good thing because I showed other kids that, I could fight. I'm not the one they want to fight. After starting 8th grade, closer to high school, the language started to get more rough, which it usually is as a teenager. I started to slim up some because I was working out in 8th grade, and because I was slimmer, there's something other people called me that hurt my feelings even worse than being called fat, and that was being called retarded. Kids would think of cruel stuff to say because I got remediation help with my work. They would think of cruel stuff to hurt my feelings. Something else a guy in my class said, one of the oldest guys on that grade roster, because my voice hadn't changed as much yet, he said I had a girl's voice. And he managed to do it to other boys in the class whose voice hadn't changed either. But look at him, a 15-year-old in the 8th grade. And, it's 8th grade, everybody matures different. Not every boy on the roster has hit puberty yet. And another problem I had was this guy who really was a close friend of mine often wanted to fight me to join his little fake gang posse. He would often push me, hit me, and eventually I got fed up, but I really didn't want to fight him because I didn't want to get in trouble. But one day, eventually after school, towards the end of 8th grade, he came up and tried to fight me again and started hitting me, so I punched him in the face, and that put an end to it. And I went on to finish 8th grade, and I no longer had to worry about him messing with me. He even acted like he didn't know me. When I started my freshman year of high school, which it usually is in high school, the bullying increased. I was one of the only freshmen who had a mustache, and other people pick on me. They'd say, you need to wipe that crust off your lip. You got dirt on your lip, stuff like that. Boys manage to do that because they're jealous because they can't grow facial hair yet. Later, I got braces, and, they'd make fun of my teeth. They'd be like, oh, that's why you got them braces. Your teeth are crooked. And one guy called me train trap mouth. I had no other choice but to tell when people picked on me. I mean, I was so mad. I was at the point where I was ready to fight people, and I told on a good bit of people that year for picking on me. But what was bad is I thought it would put an end to it. They lectured me about it. They often gave me grief about it for the rest of the year. I mean, there'd be times I was having trouble with another person, and they would think I'm picking on that person, and they'd often ask me, you need to leave people alone because you go to the office and snitch when people tell on you. And I was at the point where I wanted to transfer to another school because I was so sick of, them lecturing me. I wanted to go to another school where nobody knows me. Eventually, they ended up causing me to have a meltdown because they gave me grief about it so much, about telling on other people and wanting to know why I went to the office and told when people pick on me. But bad things happen for a good reason, so that put an end to it, and they ended up getting in trouble, and I went on to pass 9th grade. When I started 10th grade, I was worried it was going to be the same, just a big nightmare, but 10th grade got a lot better for me. I made good grades, and I ended up getting accepted in the beta club for making the AB honor roll. Something students did that irritated me is they often claimed that the only reason I made the honor roll was because the teacher gave me the answer. The reason, I took my test in another teacher's room, the remediation teacher. They helped me with my work, but the only reason I did is because I was OCD, and it's easier to concentrate in a small space away from the rest of the class. But students did do that. They would try to make me feel stupid and claim that the only reason I passed school was because the teacher gives me all the answers, and apparently that wasn't true. Towards the end of 10th grade, right before I turned 16, I started getting involved in the wrong doings. I was hanging with the wrong crowd and started to become this punk gangster wannabe. The thing that I did bad is that I took standard classes, and most of those students, they're not focused on getting into college. They just want to finish high school. And I ended up getting in trouble at home, too, trying to be a punk because I thought I was being cool. I was a decent kid, though, and I did make good grades, and eventually I went on to finish 10th grade. When I started my junior year of high school, I really was excited to come back, but I had all this stuff in my head, being a punk, thinking this stuff was cool, which all teenagers will at a point. And something else that was bad, because I was still hanging with the wrong crowd, I was at the point where I started thinking that drinking, smoking, doing drugs and stuff like that was cool, which all teenagers will at a certain age, but I was starting to, get on the immature side, and, teachers started thinking I was a troublemaker because of the people I was hanging out with. And the problem I really had to worry with was the freshmen. We had some big freshmen my junior year, bigger than the seniors, and they would make fun of my truck because I was driving a blue Dodge Stratus truck at the time, and whenever I parked, they'd be out in the courtyard making fun of my truck, saying it was a piece of junk, stuff like that. Freshmen manage to do that because they're jealous because they can't drive yet. And there was a guy who was a senior who often tried to get me to rap battle him because I started trying to rap, thinking that stuff was cool, but I was really wasting time making a fool out of myself. And when I was going to school talking about drinking, getting drunk, and partying, and some students thought it was funny and they thought it was cool, but some of the more mature students, they criticized me and they would ask me, why are you bragging about it? What's so, cool about that? And something else students did in class, they would often, want me to call people's names. They would say, call so-and-so's name, and I would do it, and it really did aggravate other people. And there's times I would quit, but they kept on pressuring me to do it again, and eventually they got me to call this boy's name, and he stood up, walked towards my desk, and wanted to fight me, and then he got in trouble for it. And I lost a friend from that. I had to learn the hard way for my junior year. I used to think that all these guys are my homeboys and they had my back for me, but that's not true. These people will turn on you in a heartbeat. And I started learning that the wrong crowd, these people aren't your friends, and it's best to avoid them. My junior year really was a bad year for me, and there's times other students would pick with me, and I would go and tell the teacher, and I'm expecting them to get on to them and do their job, and they're pointing the finger at me like I was a troublemaker. And that really did tip me off. Eventually, I finished my junior year. Before I started my senior year, I often had nightmares. I was worried that my senior year was going to be worse than my junior year, and my mother got a job offering, and I wanted her to take it so I could start my senior year at a new school because I had such a bad time my junior year. But it didn't work out, and I went on to start my senior year, and it got a lot better for me. And I matured a good bit between the summer of my junior and senior year. I was a lot more mature. Something else, even though I was old enough to date at 15, when I was 17 starting my senior year, I was ready for a relationship. But it never worked out because of liars, troublemakers. People often ask me why I didn't have a girlfriend because I had so many, gal pals, because people would see me talking to some pretty girl, and some of her close friends or relatives would lie to her about me behind my back, and then she didn't want to associate with me anymore because she believes them, and that happened more than once. But my senior year did go well. I ended up being part of a dwarf in a play. But another problem I had was the people in my nursing class. It was a real professional class, and people, they don't want to accept the fact you're changed. Because, my junior year, I was sort of immature, but I matured a good bit, but other students didn't seem to believe that. And there's times we had to perform procedures on each other and have a partner. They would lie to me and say they're working with somebody else. And there's times they literally just told me, I don't want to be your partner because you're unprofessional. That's what irritated me. People don't want to learn to forgive you. They think once you mess up, you're that way forever. And that really did hurt my feelings. They criticized me, made me feel bad about myself. And that really is bullying, criticizing someone, making them feel odd, But my senior year got a lot better, especially towards the end. Something I couldn't believe is I was one of the nominations for prom king because people were voting me for it. I didn't seem like prom king material, but I was one of the runner-ups. I didn't win it, but I was surprised so many people supported me. And the end of my senior year got well. Prom came around, and then there was awards day, and I ended up getting a scholarship for Shelton State University. And towards the end of my senior year, my nursing class, I started at, more professional, and I proved to the other students that, this is what I want to do. I want to go in the medical field. And we even got to see surgery at clinical, because we had clinicals in nursing class, and it was really interesting. We actually got to see actual operations on people. And eventually, my senior year came to an end, and I ended up graduating. And I learned that you can be successful in life, because there's times I used to think I wasn't going to make it because I was immature, but you got to work for success. And I learned that I could be successful. I made the honor roll, perfect attendance, and I got my diploma and I graduated. Later that fall, I started college, and later I got my degree as a CNA, certified nursing assistant, and later I went to work at the hospital as a med tech. Later I went back to college, and I'm still in college now, and I'm majoring to get my degree as a licensed nurse practitioner.